Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa EVO for the open beta, my review of the open beta that is actually a closed beta with a password, so it is password protected, for the early access version of the 0.3 release. What this tells me is that Kunos probably need a little bit more feedback on some of these features, or they need to stress test things like the multiplayer to make sure it works before an official release. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me in today's video, and as you can see on screen in front of you, before I show the first car that I'm going to be driving, these are the changes. This is an overview of the changes. Multiplayer, step 1, that bit I'm not going to be looking at. Updated tyre model, I am going to be looking at that. Augmented audio features, obviously going to be looking at that. New multifunction display, I might have a look at that depending on what it does. 1000 Hz damping algorithm, I suppose I'm going to be able to feel that. Graphics, optimization, UI improvements, cameras, I think I'm going to be able to look at all of that, as well as probably not every single car, but I'll take out 3 or 4 cars in this list. Obviously the F2004 is going to be one of them. We'll check out both new racetracks, Spa and the Red Bull Ring, and really the showroom I suppose is not entirely necessary. So there we go. Now I have been driving in this for a little while. I've tested the M3 E30, which is now on screen in front of you, the RS6 Avant and the Ferrari F2004, 3 somewhat different cars, as well as gone back and taken the Maserati GT2 car out, because I know exactly how that drives and I've done a number of laps, the most laps in Assetto Corsa EVO I've done in that particular vehicle. So I do know what the changes are. There's a lot of good. There is also some neutral. There's also some bad. So make sure you stay tuned. Let's get started. And let's talk about, I say the good, the bad and the ugly. In some, it is a little bit ugly. It just doesn't quite work the way you want it to. Hopefully, this feedback is something Kunos will be able to use to improve it. And of course, this is version 0.3. So, mistakes, errors, bugs, they are to be expected. Okay, car 1. This is the BMW M3 E30, and we're going to be taking it out at Spa. And immediately you will notice that the sounds are a lot better. First thing I've noticed is that you still cannot move off the clutch. This is something I noticed immediately. First thing I tried. As you can see, I'm just easing off the clutch and just look at the RPM drop. I have to give it a little bit of acceleration, just a touch, to get it moving. And you'll see it still dies. So there is that. Clutch implementation, clutch physics are really, really bad. There's the new multifunction display on the left-hand side. So there is that. I've not changed anything on this vehicle, so it is just basically as it comes out of the box. So let's take it, as I said, let's take it out for a drive, see what it is like. Sounds wise, definite improvements. And visually, one of the things that I immediately noticed, and I've tried this again as I've already done a lot of this driving before and tested out the cars, a few things I've noticed. We'll start with the sounds, as I was talking about those. It is a lot better. There is this new directional audio. So front of the car, back of the car, it sounds very different. And I think the sounds are a little bit more raw. They're a little bit more, I think they sound right in the right situation. So inside the vehicle, it sounds a little bit better, a little bit more realistic. Outside the vehicle, it sounds a little bit more realistic. That is what I'm getting from the sounds. Obviously, they've also got some music in the main menu, which is I don't think they had that in version 0.2. So that is nice, and it is just generic, I think it's decent generic music. Reminds you of every Formula One game, every racing game that you have ever played. It just has that style, especially Formula One games, the older Need for Speed games, things like that. So it does have quite a nice style to it. You can hear all the backfire and burbling from the car, and that is pretty realistic. I hear my car do it, so I know that is a realistic thing. So that is the sounds, and I'm just going to do a couple of laps of Spa with this vehicle, and then we'll move off to another vehicle. Visuals. So they've made improvements to global illumination. So visually, it does look somewhat better. I am going to say that it does have a slight. I'm trying to think of what the right word is for this. So I've driven around a few tracks, and I think the correct term is perhaps a slight cartoony look, and I'm not sure what it is about it that gives it a cartoony look, but everything seems to look a bit not hand-drawn per se. Oh yes, take a listen to this. That sounds pretty good. It does definitely sound pretty good. Now all we need is a smell of burning oil, since it is a BMW. Yes, so everything does look slightly, I don't think cartoony or hand-drawn is quite the right term, but it doesn't look quite right. Colours are, whilst better, definitely better, it seems like perhaps the post-processing filter is a little off. So that's more of the neutral bit of it. Something doesn't seem quite right, but it is nice. It is definitely nice, and it gives you a pretty good. Oops. Wasn't really paying attention where my brake point at the end of the Kemmel Straights was. It does look pretty good, and there are situations in which it looks excellent, but the majority of the time it's just perhaps uncanny. It is almost photorealistic, but not quite, and that is what I'm seeing. We'll get into a little bit more detail about some of the physics and all of that in a while, but moving on from visuals, taking a look at the UI, it's still a bit rubbish. I do not particularly like this UI. I think maybe having been spoiled with Assetto Corsa and the Sidekick app, and the way the map is, and the way the timings are shown and everything, with the third party scripts and third party add-ons, this just looks rubbish. I'll be honest, the UI looks rubbish in game or in sim. It is better. They have improved it. So for example, when you go into the pits, you may have noticed at the top it told you to have the pit limiter on. I think it tells you to be in second gear as well, but it doesn't look, it just doesn't really feel like it's a lot of understeer. Why does this car have so much understeer? I do have that to talk about, I have to remember, but it's just a lot of understeer. It just does not, the UI in-game, the HUD does not really work, and I have mentioned the UI out of the game as well in the menus. I do not particularly like that either. It's too blocky. It's too designed for. It looks like it's designed for a tablet. that is what it looks like, and I do not particularly like that. Or it's designed for Xbox. So yes, not the greatest there. I think they are going to have to do a lot of improvements with the UI. Just like I think they need to take exactly what they did in Assetto Corsa. Forget what was done in Competizione. Take what was done in Assetto Corsa with all the apps and let people just make their own. I think that is going to be definitely the best thing that you can do. Might as well change vehicle now. What I am going to do is I'll just do a bit of a replay so that you can hear these audio samples and how it has changed. And I think it's not just rework of some of the audio. I think there has been a rebalance, and that is making the biggest difference. Wonder if this car will... No, still cannot get it to. It's just a loss of understeer. I'll talk about the understeer, as I said, in a moment. Let's go ahead and stop. One thing I did notice, which I've not done here, is I smashed a car into the wall in a test, and in smashing the car into the wall, it actually had damage. Right, yes, listen to the front. Now I'm going to move around. And that's pretty neat. So it gives it a much more realistic, and if I then go to one of these, okay, I don't know what camera, there it is, F3, you would be able to hear it. So here we go. And that gives it a much more realistic sound. And you can probably see in this replay, it almost looks photorealistic, but then there's something, it's a bit, the corners, the edges are not quite as sharp perhaps, or something just looks a little off. It's just a little wrong, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. It might be, to be honest, it could be a sharpening setting, it could be a contrast setting or saturation setting. Something is just, maybe it's slightly saturated, or the highlights or something are wrong. Something looks odd. And the reason I say this is I've done enough in Assetto Corsa playing around with the photo mode and messing around with highlights and contrast and shadows and mid-tones and all of those kind of things. Sharpening, post-processing sharpening, the glare, the glint off the lights, so all of these different bits, and then other filters on top of that you add that give it sort of like a grain or a certain type of color palette. All of those things I've done plenty of in Assetto Corsa, and so looking at it here I can see what isn't looking right, but I cannot quite put my finger on it. Just looking at that, it looks like the highlights are too bright. From the top, that just looks like the highlights on this particular metallic paint are too bright. So it looks like, instead of shiny metallic paint, it looks like, from certain angles, it just looks like gloss paint that's very bright, like white gloss paint, something like that. Anyway, that's just a thing. It's not really a huge deal. I know I've just spoken about that, but it's just to give you an idea of the visuals. Let's go ahead and swap into the RS6 Avant. That's the next car that I'm going to take out, and we'll go check out the Red Bull Ring in this one, and we'll have a look at what it looks like in, let's have a look in an overcast condition and see what this is like. So we do have these new tyre models and physics and force feedback. I'll talk a little bit about that, I suppose, now, I guess, once we get this going. Just going to check to make sure. Yep, have that off. Oh, it even tells you what it is. That's nice. That's nice. ESC is a safety system allowing the vehicle to automatically apply brake pressure on individual wheels. Yep, and then traction control is just changing slip. I am going to switch traction control off because that's always great. And this has a supercar compound for some reason, a hypercar compound, and a road compound. These apparently do feel different, and I have tried supercar and road on this vehicle. The weird thing is, and this is where we're going to start getting into tyre chat and physics chat, and the majority of this video is going to be that, although do take a listen to this. Why does Audi have these noises? Does sound pretty good. Okay, well, let's get it going. I do have the ability to change some of these modes. I'm just going to leave it in with a standard tachometer and speedometer. Right, so yes, back to tyres and the feeling of tyres and physics. This is where things turn from good or slightly neutral, as we had with the post-processing filters with the graphics, and the good that we've had with obviously new cars, new tracks, and the sounds being much better. This is where we start going into the bad. And this might be subjective. I've done all of this, so I did all of my testing before watching anyone else's videos, and I know people have been releasing videos for this entire time, so my video is pretty late out there. But I did all my testing before watching any other video, and I have found that some people have been agreeing. So I've watched a couple of videos, and they are agreeing with what I felt in some way. So we'll start with what I can feel, what's new, on what can be felt with the force feedback and through the tyres. Road, the road itself, I can feel the road a lot more. So every bump I can feel ABS kicking in. That's something. So it has this. So if I was to slam on the brakes right now, I can feel a little bit of jitter of the ABS, so the wheel's trying to lock and unlock. I can also feel, as I shift gear, there's a slight jolt on the wheel. So that's pretty good. Those are good things. These are new feelings. They are fairly realistic. However, in combination with that, I can no longer feel the front of the car. And I think it's the front of the car. I'm not entirely certain whether it's the front or the rear, or, well, I know it might be the rear. I definitely know it's the front. It might also be the rear. So feeling, for example, going over that rumble strip, great. Going over that rumble strip, great. But I have no idea what the front and rear of the car is doing. Do not get me wrong, it's still usable. So driving this around, I'm still able to drive, but I'm not able to push the way I used to. And that is the way I used to before this version 0.3. And to test this, what I did is I took, as I said in the intro, which I've just realised I may not have to show, I took the Maserati GT2 car out, and I've done quite a few laps around Donington Park in this GT2 car. This is very, very understeery, and there's a reason why I'm understeering as much as I am. So I took the GT2 car out at Donington, and I know that I had just a few weeks ago, oh, that's going well off, 10.9, I'll get this right. A few weeks ago, I had put a 1 minute 29 in for that particular car at that particular track. Scattered clouds. It's about 23 degrees, same time of day, and I did a 1:29.8 or something near to that. So my goal was to try to get somewhere close to that. Even if it was just 1 minute 30, that would be fine. And so I did. I took the car out, And immediately I felt the tyres were very, very different. And it's a really weird, it's a really, really weird experience, because in that car, everything felt far more direct, far more agile. So when I turned the wheel, the tyres felt a lot more grippy. But there's also a massive downside. I couldn't feel through the force feedback, whilst I could feel the road, whilst I could feel the bumps, I couldn't feel what the tyres were actually doing. So I knew, okay, they've turned, but for example, and this is where the idea of understeer comes in. So this car's understeering right now. I have there's barely any sensation of this car doing that. There's barely any sensation of the car. It just feels like the wheel's loaded up. Nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. And this is a problem that I immediately found with that Maserati. And I've also found it, of course, with the BMW. So you saw that with the BMW I was understeering. And I did say, well, why am I understeering? Well, here's the answer to that question. It's because I cannot feel what the tyre is doing as I go around the corner. So my primary indication now is visual. So I've got to look at what the tyre is doing and say, well, and sound, and say, well, that was just on the limit of understeer. Let's go ahead and whatever it is, open up the steering a little or what have you. From the feedback perspective, I'm getting nearly nothing. And the same goes for oversteer. So that, right there, nearly nothing. There's just no feel of what's going on. And that was not a problem let's say 2 days ago, when it was version 0.2. That was not a problem at all. So I'm not sure if it is a problem with the tyre model, because this car feels incredibly understeery. The BMW feels very, very understeery. Okay, admittedly, this is an Audi. It should feel understeery. It's a very big Audi. The BMW should not have felt understeery, and yet it did. The Maserati feels incredibly direct, but in all three cases, the feeling from the tyre is exactly the same, and that is almost nothing. And that, again, I'm just going to point out, when I mean feeling from the tyre, I'm talking about the feeling from the tyre as we go around the corner, understeer, oversteer. That is what I'm talking about. I can feel that bump. I can feel those rumble strips. I can feel that grass. I can feel the gear shift. All of those things I can feel, and that feels more like maybe suspension. So it's maybe what I'm feeling is suspension. I'm not feeling tyre, and that's just what I've seen in this particular version, and it isn't that enjoyable. I'll admit it isn't. It's not very immersive, and I actually prefer, whilst all these little details are really nice, in terms of what I was actually able to feel, in terms of what was communicated to me and what was useful, none of this is useful. What version 0.2 had was and is more useful than this. So again, trying to throw this car around, I can feel some weight transfer, and that's it. And weight transfer I've been able to feel the whole time through anyway. But that is all I can really feel. I've just noticed that the car is dirty. That's new. That is definitely new. And again, I'm expecting that all that understeer, it's just not there. This feels dull. That's probably the best word for it. it feels dull. It doesn't feel responsive. Yes, that is the best way to describe the force feedback. I can do this and get nothing, absolutely nothing from. Yeah, there's nothing there. Shall I go ahead and change? Let's go ahead and change car. Let's have a listen to this car from the outside as well, just for a moment. Then we'll go ahead and change the car. This car does sound good. Again, positives sound excellent. And visually, I think the rear window does sort of show what I'm talking about. Everything looks a bit smeared, not quite sharp. I think that is what is giving it. I don't want to say melted. It doesn't give it a melted look. It's just a bit soft. Yes, I think a good way to describe it is it's soft. This car does not sound great from the outside at all, does it? From the inside, it sounded quite decent. From the outside, it sounds a bit quiet and rubbish. I suppose that's what they have with exhaust now. This is maybe the best they can get. Now, I do like, in terms of, if you have a look at that, you'll see how the tyre, different levels of grip on the tyre led my car to slide just that little bit. That's a really good view. Oh, that was a really good view. Which is now gone. Please tell me I get that view back. That is really nice. That bit sounded good in the lower down region. Okay, well, let's go. Yeah, no need to save it. Let's go to the main menu. And what car should we try next? I'll tell you what. I'm going to show you the Caterham. With the Caterham, I'm going to have to buy it, and I really like the configuration of this. So, I need to buy it. Let's go ahead and actually purchase the Caterham. Because it's really nice. In terms of this UI, I do not mind this. It's this bit. All of this is a bit. It could be cleaned up a lot. Caterham tritone design. Let's go for that and configure. And I really like how this is because it has so many configuration options, as you can see. So should I paint? Well, let's paint the body first. Let's give it a. Let's paint it blue. I tend to have cars in blue. In fact, no. I'm just going to buy this exactly as it is because I can paint it separate outside. So this is a little trick. If you want to have a custom, if you want the same sheen on the car, but a custom colour, you go ahead and select a standard factory colour, and then go ahead and go to your cars, select the car and customize it, and that should give you the same sheen. Oh, did the music just disappear? No, it's back. There we go. So exterior, body color. Now see, I've got custom, and it should remain with the same finish. What color should I do it? Like a deep blue. Let's do it in that blue. That looks... No, that's not good. That blue. There we go. We'll do that blue. Second segment I'll have in... Okay, well, it's got to be... I suppose I could do it in white. Or some sort of... Let's see what we've got. Because that is those bits there. So I can have finish, custom finish, or I can do matte or metallic. I think metallic looks quite nice, but what would a chrome one look like? Chrome front. Yes, let's do that. Third one, the stripe, custom. Let's do a satin stripe, satin metallic stripe. No, satin metallic doesn't look right. High gloss. Yes, that works. And I'll bring it down a little. So there we go. I'm customizing a car. I can then go and have the wings in the same color, or I can just have it in black, which I think works really nicely. Painted trim. Where is the painted trim? That's okay. I'm going to have to look for this trim. Anyone see the painted trim? Give me a bright color for it. Oh, it's the wing mirrors, and okay. So I think I could paint that in white with chrome. No, not white chrome. Yes, white chrome will do. Not matte, chrome. Clear chrome. There we go. Great. And then wings and body colour, that's done. Painted roll bar. So we could have a painted roll bar if we want as well. I find this really quite interesting that you are able to do this and customize your entire car. Then we've got the painted number 7. That's at the front. You could change that as well. Which maybe I think should be white. Again, I'd like to put this in not gloss, but chrome. There we go. Chrome 7. So that's all of those. Interior-wise, we can have an Alcantara steering wheel, stitching colour, perhaps red. And then the wheels, we can have standard ones or this one with the rim. And honestly, again, I'm going to put this into a high gloss and really brighten that up. In fact, no, I'm going to put that as metallic. There we go. That's now my car ready to go. Some of these cars have a lot of customization. Others very much do not. So let's give this car a whirl. This is one I have not driven at all. So it'll be a good way to get used to the physics, or see what the physics are like on this particular car. Brands Hatch is probably a good option. Broken Clouds will do. Let's start. Loading times, which is why I've actually shown you all of this as well. Loading times are much better. I have found them far, far better than they have been. There is the occasional bit where it stutters or stops, but why can I not change the fuel and strategy on this? No idea. Brake balance will do. I'm not going to change the bias at all. Let's go ahead and drive. Okay. It's a quiet car. It's light. It's bumpy. It feels interesting. Whoa. I say it feels interesting, but I cannot feel anything. Again, that's immediately there's so little feel in the vehicle. Sure, there's that. Those bumps are great. That is great, and I can feel the road, but I cannot feel the car. It's a very light car, though. That much is for certain. It's a very, very light car. I do particularly like it, but I wish I could just feel what the tyres were doing. So I was hoping that perhaps this is a thing where it's maybe affecting very few vehicles, but this is now the feedback that I'm getting. This is now vehicle 5 I'm trying since 0.3. Since I've been testing 0.3, this is now the 5th vehicle I have tried, and all 5 of them have the same. It isn't the tyres as such, it's what I can feel from the tyres. And it's, as I said, the answer is nothing. This sounds great. This is a great vehicle just to... I can tell you now, it's a great vehicle to throw around. absolutely fantastic vehicle to throw around. I think I'm going to try and do a race with this one. Not in this video, but I'm definitely going to try and do a race with this. There are no stutters anymore. I've not seen any. There is, as I said, a tiny bit of a delay every now and then in the menus, but in the sim, once you're up and running, there are no stutters, so that is great. Just as I said, just wish I could feel what this car is doing as it gets to the limit. Another thing it feels like, some of these cars, this one not so much. The Audi definitely felt, I could definitely feel it in the Audi. And this, again, I'm not sure if this is feedback or tyres or suspension. They feel a bit mushy. That's the other thing, and it might just be because the feedback is not giving me, well, the correct feedback. And I'm not able to tell what it is actually feeling like, but they do feel quite mushy. That's not a good thing. But this car does not feel as much. The Audi and the E30 M3, so the two road vehicles, definitely felt it. See, no feel, absolutely no feel. As that went round, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how much to turn. I didn't know how much to turn that wheel back, when it was going to bite or anything. Vehicle is damaged. Speaking of damaged, I think you might be able to see actual damage on this vehicle. Yes, look at that. I think that is really quite neat. Unfortunately, and I have tried this, it's the same damage every time. I've tried hitting a vehicle along the side, smashing it over and over again at the front, and it just gives you the same damage. I also do like this colour combination that I've picked. Anyway, that was just a very quick look at that. Again, just trying to... This one's audio sounds a little weird. So it's a bit quiet. When did I scrape it that it's got these scrapes? When did I do that? Let's find out, shall we? Somewhere here. Right. Okay. I just saw that. Is that a collision box error? Let's find out. That has to be, because I didn't feel that in the slightest. So the rear wheel clipped it. I knew it was close. I didn't feel that in the slightest, but as you can see, rear wheel clipped. Some damage at the front. That's just how it goes. Oh, that looks so good though. That actually looks brilliant. It's such a nice style car. Anyway, to end this video, now that we've spoken about the feedback and the problems, the issues that I'm seeing and having, to end this video, we're going to go back to Spa. And should we go to Spa or should we go somewhere else? Let's not go to Spa. Let's go to Suzuka. Yeah, why not? And let's grab the Ferrari F2004. And the other thing that I need to do, and I've already tried this and it does work now, go to controls. I can go manage presets and load. And that loads the presets for a different steering wheel, which is great. So I'll put that wheel on now. There we go. I actually need to change something. I don't know why I've got two Fanatec wheels and I have no idea what these X input controllers are, and then that Fanatec wheel is grey, and I don't know what's going on there. I really, really do not. One thing I do need to do, and I've forgotten to do, was sort out the ignition. Or have I already done that? Hold on. No, I hadn't. Oh, no, I had. I don't know I don't know what 3 was, so I've got to look for a 4 somewhere. Or there might already be a 3 that's done. 1, 2... I don't know. I really, really do not know. Anyway, let's go ahead and I guess just discard those changes, reload it, and take an F2004 out and see what it can do. And again, in testing this, I've had the same issue, and that issue is that I'm not really able to feel the front axle. And it is causing me trouble. Maybe I'm more sensitive, I don't know. Maybe I'm more sensitive to feeling that front axle. Different people obviously it will impact them in different ways. Some people won't mind it, some people will. I'm going to put a lot of fuel in here. Let's put 90 litres of fuel. Yeah, let's put 90 litres of fuel and really start pushing this. I do like the fact that if we have a look at the compounds, they do actually change textures, so that's great. The little jittering is because I've changed the fuel level and the tyre, and until you press apply and back, it will sort of dump the car on the ground again, and that's how you get around that. Brake bias should be all right. Pit limiter I don't need to work with. Again, because of... Sounds good. Because of the issues with the clutch, I cannot really move off with the clutch the way I want to. See, it just doesn't do what I want it to do, unfortunately. Anyway, let's go and get ourselves underway. Not tried this car at this track, but obviously I know it, and I'm going to do my best to drive this car in a manner that is perhaps tries to show it off a little. It's an amazing car. It sounds amazing, as you can hear. They've done a great job with it. This car I also experienced flat spots with, so that was a great thing to feel, and you can feel them. As an example there, I can now feel a flat spot, which is awesome. It really is awesome, and you can see it if you look very carefully on the right hand tyre. You can feel it, you can see it at the slower speeds. Now, again, just no real feeling. This car should be extremely agile, and it just isn't giving me that. I'm also going to put the brake bias back a bit. That was a great sound. Yep, I will have to adjust brakes, that's for sure. So I can now feel the patter of, my wheel and the flat spots on the wheel, which is really quite awesome. But again, I can feel that patter. It's not useful to me, because I cannot feel the scrubbing. The tyres feel like they are just dull and unresponsive. And yet, I know for a fact that this is very, very responsive. It's a Ferrari F2004. It should just turn. But I cannot make it do that. So even there, I cannot make it do that. I've not yet come across a soft lock, an experimental soft lock, but what I have noticed is that every single vehicle now matches my car's. Every single vehicle's turning, so their steering angle matches mine exactly. So that is working really well. That's a really good improvement. Constantly locking up that front right wheel. I do want to start knocking traction control down, but it's not something I'm going to do yet. The reason I'm not taking traction control down is because if I cannot feel what the car's doing, I cannot be certain I'm going to catch it. And that's a concern. The sounds in this are brilliant. They really are. The next lap, I'll do a completely quiet lap and just take a listen to the sounds. Going to first is realistic. First gear in this car, you have to really be very slow in first gear. It's not a gear you use often. I don't think they use first anymore at all in Formula One. I guess they use it in. Why is this not turning? I know it should be able to do that. Again, maybe I just do not have the feeling. I think the only time they use first now is in, what's it called? Monaco, around the hairpin. Whatever the latest name for the hairpin is. Second works better there. Okay, one quiet lap coming up. And I pinned it. It's weird. It's not a quiet lap, it's a quiet half lap. It's just weird. I'm not... So in Assetto Corsa, I'll be honest, in Assetto Corsa I am very, very confident with this car. I will throw this Ferrari around. And it's tough. It really is tough on the wheel. On my arms as well, it's rough. It does push you about, but in here, I'm not confident with it. I cannot find a confidence in this car. But there we go. That is that. So there's the good, the bad, and I suppose the ugly of this particular 0.3 version of Assetto Corsa. To brief, the good. I say the good, the bad, the ugly. The good, the neutral, the bad. Really, the good, the audio, fantastic. The optimizations are really working. So both graphically and CPU optimizations, loading times are much shorter. There's no more stuttering, so that's good. That's all the good. The neutral is perhaps the way the post-processing filters are now working. How did that lock up all the wheels? I have no idea. The neutral is maybe this new post-processing filter looking a little bit cartoony. That's probably a neutral. The good, of course, is also the cars. The cars themselves are definitely a good. And then we have the bad, and unfortunately it's a small bad, but it's an influential or important bad, and that's the update to the physics or the suspension or the tyres and the force feedback, whatever it is, has just made everything feel dead in many ways. Oh, another good would be, actually it's more of a neutral because it doesn't give you much. Neutral would be these new feelings. That's a neutral, I would say. So I'm actually struggling to figure out where this car is supposed to go. So that's a neutral, and then the bad is, then the bad is the way everything now feels a lot more just dull, lifeless. Yes, dull and lifeless is probably the best way to put it. Okay, that worked that time. I managed to get the car turned around. To finish this video off, I suppose that's the overview. Maybe just do a couple of laps. Try and really. I'm going to try to get used to this. And what I am going to do is I'm going to make a few videos, perhaps trying to do some comparisons between Assetto Corsa and Assetto Corsa EVO. Obviously, we'll look at it visually. We're comparing it to Pure and the custom shaders patch and all of that, of course. But going to see just how it works out with all of that compared to what we see in Assetto Corsa EVO right now. And also there'll be a sound test, I guess, which I think this is going to blow it out the water, I'll be honest. And then maybe a physics and feedback test. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting to get used to driving the vehicle, but it's all visual. It's mainly, I'm mainly looking at this visually and saying, well, what's it doing visually here and there? That's what I'm doing, which is weird. So it's something I've not had to do for a very, very long time. I've not had to look at things visually as just purely visual for a very, very long time. Still can't do it. I cannot get there's no feeling of lockup as well. That's the other thing that's missing. Hang on, I'm going to try and lock the wheels. Let's try it. Maybe there is a feeling of lockup. That compared to that. Compared to... hold on. And now I've got those. Okay, so the only feeling of lockup I have... The only feeling of lockup is that it feels a bit... The wheel feels a bit lighter. Also, these flat spots are now bad. No, there really isn't much of a feeling of lockup. I'm going to try and show you these flat spots. It's vibrating my whole wheel now. There they are. There's the lockups. And the flat spots. They look pretty good overall, but that is where I'm going to end this video. So let's go into the replay, and I'll let you enjoy. I'll let you enjoy the replay. But thank you very much for watching. Please remember to click on the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa EVO. I'm, as I said, going to try and do some comparison videos and see what it is like with some crazy sliding. That's not how you're supposed to do things, but there we go. Leave a comment in the comments box below if you've got this update, and what are your thoughts? Are you feeling the same things as me and what a few others are feeling, or do you think that this is a lot better? Obviously there are some good, there's quite a few good bits to this update, but it's just the feedback and the physics or the tyres, whatever it is, just a bit of a letdown at the moment. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon, link in the description box below, as are links to my social media and Discord server. That is all from me, and I shall see you next time in Assetto Corsa EVO, where, as I said, I'll be trying to do some comparisons. This Ferrari F2004 will certainly be one of them, but I'll also do it with, for example, the BMW M3 the Lotus Exige V6, cars like that. Anything that I can do a comparison with, I shall. I'll leave you with one lap of this from the outside that hopefully is not the lap on which I spun. Hopefully it isn't. I think it isn't. Anyway, there we go. I'll see you next time.